Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have the grand finale. We have the third story in front of us. Fala do Diabo. Apparently, that is Portuguese for Speak of the Devil, and this is sent in to us by Zach Cullis. Zach Cullis on social media, that is. Zach, Z-A-C-H, Cullis, Kullis. Zach, thank you for submitting your story. Well, I don't know anything about these until they are read.
Yeah, I know.
So I have ignorance as my bliss as of right now. But we might have a first as well. We get halfway through the story and we abandon
We run for the
ship.
hills,
Yeah.
grab the holy water.
Yeah, we do have holy water. We just cleansed with some sage. We just did some smudging. I feel spiritually and psychically capable right now. And I fear no man. I could be walking through the valley of the shadow of death. And I would be just fine because I got the Almighty. So with that being said, let's dive into this third story and let's speak of the devil, I suppose. Fala do Diabo. My name is, but I go by Zach Cullis on social media. I had an experience in 1992 that marked me forever. The event is solidified in my memory. Whether for good or for bad, I am not sure, but I wrote it down and I've kept it hidden. In fact, I can count the number of people I've shared this with on one hand. Having such a pivotal moment in your life be inextricably linked to the paranormal is a shitty thing because you risk people ridiculing or making fun of your experience. I found that keeping the darkness within me is easier, but here is the story, along with a bit of personal history that helped me lead up to this big event. I grew up in a very conservative community in Utah. My family was very religious, especially my father. In fact, he was a bishop for nearly half of my youth. I never paid much attention to the spirits or the paranormal, outside of fiction and outside of movies, until I was about 11 years old. It was early autumn, cool enough for leaves to fall and blanket the yard in their beautiful death throes, but still warm enough for all of us to leave the large wooden front door open and allow the closed screen door to let in the fresh air. My father and I were alone in the front room watching the television, MASH, if you're old enough to remember. It was quiet because my father didn't like loud noises, so it made for a tranquil evening. The tranquility was interrupted by the screen door whipping open, and despite the lack of any wind, stayed open. That gives me the visual of something coming in and possibly even holding the door open for other things. What about you?
Something wants in,
Yeah.
trying to get in.
And notice, no wind, tranquil evening. What a damper.
Always when you least expect it.
Absolutely. Stay strapped. It was dark outside, but it was plain to see that there was nobody there who could have opened the screen door, let alone hold it open. My young and naive mind found it funny, so I decided to invite our invisible guest into the house. Ho ho ho!
Oh no.
Young and naive. Yeah.
Well, how's he supposed to know?
Oh, right. You know, I've been there. But, I mean,
Hindsight.
mm, that's why we don't whistle. You know, that's why we don't say, skinny. That's why we don't say, windy. Like, we don't finish those words just because, is it superstition? I've seen the look of conviction on people's faces who have said, don't do that. That's a look you get from trauma. That's a look you get from experience. Even in jest, once you join us, man, if you could only go back in time, this would probably disappear from my hands like the end of, Infinity War. It would get Thanos, you know. He said, "Hi," I called out, "Come on in." I thought it was funny. My father, a clergy and an engineer by trade, reacted in a way I'd never seen before, and I haven't seen since. He immediately stood up, a nervous and slightly angry look on his face, and he quickly walked to the door. He closed the screen door, closed and locked the wooden door, and then he turned to face me. He knows. He said, "Don't you ever invite anything into the home like that ever again. Do you understand me?" I didn't, honestly. I thought the spirit stuff we talked about on Sundays was all there was to the unseen, so there would be no need for any fear. But Dad, there wasn't anyone there. He calmed down. He sat beside me on the couch. Just because you can't see anything doesn't mean there isn't anything there. There are things out there that aren't good, that can't come in a home unless there's already bad things in the home, or they've been invited. We were never allowed to talk about it again. This blew my mind. I had always been taught about the devil, about his angels, the third of all the angels of heaven that were kicked out and damned, but I never thought there would be a way for them to reach outside to us physically. This conversation did two things for me. It opened my mind to the potential reality of the paranormal, and it also birthed a desire in me to know more, to understand those forbidden topics. From that point through the rest of the teenage years, I continued going to church with the family, believing, but also going to the local library to devour any information I could and find any related dark spirits, or anything about the paranormal or the occult, or quite simply to find out more about the kind of thing that opened the screen door that fateful night. Now for the meat of my experience, where desire to learn turned into an experience of dreadful knowledge. Yikes.
Yeah, it's gonna get spicy. I feel like father should have warned you a
Elaborated.
little more. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, obviously, he didn't want to talk about it.
yeah.
But if it wasn't sufficient enough, and it left you that curious, go down a path that leads to what I think it leads to.
I think that like a lot of people, you're trying to like spare people. You're trying to give them like just enough to like, you know, have them never do something again, like in this case the screen door. I'm trying to put this into like a relatable way, you know.
I'd say a
Like,
lot of people, though, with anything, it's like you don't really fully believe something until it happens to you. So
yeah.
even with that much warning, it might be like, well,
Yeah, for sure. But like I'm trying to think of like something like with like my son that's like relatable. Like, well, some people are just like trying to take advantage of you, and you have to like put in all this like energy and time to like know and understand the people that actually like do need help and the people that are just trying to take advantage of you, or just it's just like the ugly ways of like the world. As an adult or a guardian or parent, you are trying to like not burden them with like that cruelty or that
yeah, you don't
ugly.
want to overdo it. And then you need to also, there's got like a fine line or something you
Yeah,
gotta find. You don't
yeah.
want them to just be like afraid of everything. And
For sure. In this sense, the dad was very vague in like his explanation. Like, we just don't do that. And that sent him looking for all of these answers,
yeah,
which inevitably ends up with him like having this horrible traumatic like experience. Or like if you think that you are sparing somebody the grim reality of a situation or something by giving them very vague and limited information, you're just like kind of opening a doorway like for curiosity, you know. So I guess I'm like asking, where's the line in the sand? Do you go full in and explain
yeah, I
all
don't
of
know.
that
It's tough.
darkness, or do you like give them a touch of that darkness and
Maybe you
like,
touch it and then come back
yeah,
and maybe, I don't know.
yeah? Because he said we never talked about it again. Shit, wouldn't that be something you talked about all the time? Like,
I don't know. It's very difficult.
do you see like the butterfly effect that like happens with it? I
Yeah, I'd
guess.
say like in hindsight, should have talked about it more.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then it's like in the moment, you're like, maybe I talked about it and maybe that was enough.
yeah.
Because
Hmm.
his dad knew, well, like, oh, this door is open by itself. And that's what
Right.
the fuck. And okay, we'll
Oh,
do this. We won't do this. And then we won't talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, and he definitely, like, whenever he scolded him, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, like, you saw that door open by itself. And I think the tables could have turned, you know, had the dad been like, here's why, and like been very open about it rather than shutting off communication. Like, I told you once, never do it again. It opened this ambiguity, like it opened this curiosity,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
if he's researching all this and digging into it in secret, then maybe his dad doesn't know that like maybe he still thinks that he did enough.
Mm,
It's a fine line, and it's hard to tell because I know everybody's experience is going to be different. So some people are
yeah,
going to take that and just stop right there, and then some people are going to dig into it further.
like we
So
would.
yeah, probably.
Like we are.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we are. Yeah. Back to the story. I was just under 20 years of age and had moved to Brazil as a missionary and immediately fell in love with the people, the culture, the language, the food. I spent most of my time in the state of Minas Gerais, in the capital city of Belo Horizonte. Pardon me, I'm not privy to Brazilian pronunciation. The longer I lived in Brazil, the more exposure I had to some of the more exotic forms of spiritual worship. One of those was frequently called macumba or macumba. Please let me know. Please let some beautiful Brazilian woman let me know. Okay.
Succubus.
Don't do that to me.
You're doing it to yourself.
As long as she looks Brazilian. No, I take that back. Where's the sage? Many people in the part of Brazil I lived in talked about Macumba. Even though this isn't really a single religious group, most of the people I talked to broke it down into white table Macumba and black table Macumba. White table Macumba was a combination of African or Yoruban religions and some Catholicism that was forced on them during the Portuguese slave trade in the 1500s. Black table Macumba is considered black magic and is more often referred to as Quimbanda, so it doesn't get confused with its tame cousin. To be blunt, Quimbanda is used by folks that have decided that evil spirits are better fit to help them gain their desires, justice, or simply had the desire to worship and get help from King Exu or Lucifer. There are a number of Exu or evil spirits that Quimbanda practitioners adore and worship, each with their own speciality, but none of them are friendly. A smart person or more pious person would steer clear of this kind of thing, but ever since that evening with my father, I had developed an unhealthy interest in the subject matter. This was about to become a problem for me. During the kind of mission I was on, we all had a companion or two we went out with, safety in numbers. My companion was a massive guy that stood nearly 6 feet 8 inches, or just over 203 centimeters. Before his mission, he was a star defensive lineman for an American football team. He wasn't someone anyone messed with, so I felt comfortable going anywhere with him. Luckily for me, or unluckily as things would soon turn out, he had a mild interest in spooky stuff too. We took time away from our missionary work and visited places in the area that were connected to the supernatural, including a marvelous little town called Sao, Thome des Letras. It was an amazing place that more people should visit. So him and his giant buddy are doing missionary work, spreading the word, spreading their faith. And in their
But
travels, they're
also-
doing spooky side stuff.
Also doing side missions that
I just have a feeling, based off the way this guy's talking, that this 6'7" dude is going to become a quite literal big
a
problem.
big problem. That's not who you want to get.
Yeah. And
Give anything control over.
Yeah, you know, as I start reading these stories, because keep in mind, guys, I read these along with you guys. Like I am 100% blind instead of half blind going into these with you guys. So I do apologize, like if I'm mispronouncing things but you know, I am reading them right along as you guys are figuring them out. I'm getting good at the hearing the tiny, small cues.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Easter eggs and the
yeah, the foreshadowings.
foreshadowing. Yeah.
You know, and what I feel with this guy is they're going to all these spooky places. They're doing all this spooky stuff. They're dabbling in, you know, the dark, you know, the quimbanda,
Also, I don't know, like
or even just studying it.
we're just saying words that we have no idea what are. Like this could be not good.
Well,
Like,
we have in fact smudged and prepped ourselves. You know, there's no power here that can be used against us. We are in control. But yeah, I have a feeling he's going to and he's going to also get that super strength
there's gonna be a problem.
on a
A
six
rise in the
six foot
future.
7 former lineman's frame. During the middle of our second night, there I was, ripped out of a deep sleep by drums that immediately made me think of voodoo. The sound felt primal. It felt like a rhythm that exuded waves of pleasure and nausea simultaneously. This was in 1991, and to this day I clearly remember my heart pounding, as if it was in sync with the drums. Both dreadful and exciting, I felt almost spellbound, drawn to it. There was also a clear feeling, almost as if spoken within my mind, a warning to me. The heavy thumping of my heart and something in the sound pulled me closer to the window. Not physically, I was still in control, but it was a struggle between two different sets of desires.
Gonna be a case of curiosity killed the cat. I feel.
Yeah. Still very thick in the bind. And, yeah. I knew deep inside the sound was profane, hitting of things forbidden. But my will to speak with what I couldn't see when I was 11 was stronger. I knew I needed to open the window and look. Just have a look. Harmless enough. Right?
You're gonna do it. You gotta be prepared for all outcomes.
And then the physical act of opening, allowing, consciously, like you're literally like, yep, I want to see. You are. I'm trying to watch my words carefully. There are certain words I don't want to say right now,
Yeah.
Because I can't help but feel as if telling the stories and stuff, you're almost surrounded. I feel like I'm in a Shark Tank a little bit, but it's all right.
We are in a protective bubble.
Yes, we are. Guys, keep us protected. Keep that energy shield around your holler boys. All right? I swung my feet up and over the edge of the bed, all my movements seemingly slow and groggy, and I walked to the window. Have you ever felt like you were standing at a precipice? Not a cliff of a rock and stone, but a cliff made of consequences. This was such a moment, although only the second largest of such precipices I would face in Brazil. The window's latch whined as I unlocked it and opened the glass to the hot night. What before had been a subdued beating of drums was now a melodic thunder that I felt as much as in my soul as in my ears. There was something else that I hadn't noticed earlier, something that had weaved unnoticed beneath the tapestry of drums, chanting, yelling, although not the yelling of fear or pain, but yelling that I couldn't put into an emotion. Beyond that, there was something else. I don't know if I heard it or felt it, but it was there. It was unrecognized noises that felt macabre and dark.
primal.
So are these actual drums? Are these?
Drums and chanting. It sounds. I'm picturing like a group of people banging drums and
But he's like
dancing
talking.
around,
He's
chanting, and
Yeah, but he's like talking about being groggy. He's like sitting at his like window,
well, I think he just woke up. I don't know. Maybe.
you after the goat man story, man, you
Who
got
knows
to
what these people are chanting? It could be.
yeah, but you have to also take in consideration like stories like we'd read in the past, like with the goat man, that were like this dude was completely hypnotized.
Yeah.
He was amongst company that wasn't there.
Mm.
You know, like if anything, I'm trying to take the stories and things that we've read and like apply them to like my power of like deduction. Like is he actually hearing this, or is he in some lulled state by either real, like the tangible, or some sort of spiritual something or other that's like got him like in a hypnotic lulled state. That is my question. What do you guys think in the chat? You think he's actually hearing these drums? Do you think that he is hearing maybe his pulse quickening as he is being challenged, or something is trying to knock at his temple's door? What do you think?
His giant friend is just listening to some Blue Man Group very
Yeah.
loud in the next room, and it's
He's like air drumming. I was spellbound, both intrigued and repulsed, curious, and more frightened than I'd ever been. But I stayed for more than an hour. I kept thinking I needed to pull myself away from the window and just close it, crawl into bed, and pray for sleep. But I was helplessly drawn to whatever was happening in the building across from ours. Oh, it's in a building.
yeah,
It's in a building.
something weird going on in that building. I don't know if you can just ignore it.
Yeah.
I hope not get more curious and like,
Against my own common sense,
fuck.
I stayed by the window. So he's essentially this rhythm, this energy, although he's described it as macabre, dark,
I could see. I mean, if I heard that, I'd be curious. But yeah, I don't know.
yeah. It's like the thunder of these drums and the energy of these people, is like drawing him out. And I think, what is it called? Macumbe? The Macumba is calling him, in my opinion. The hesitation vanished, leaving only curiosity and yearning. When I tried to concentrate on just the drums, something felt out of place. When I tried to ignore the drums and listen to only the other noises, I became uneasy and felt weighed down. However, when I let go of my focus and I just took it all in, it was enthralling, and it touched me with the clearly distinct feeling of mingling with the unseen. That's what he's been looking for since he was 11.
Yeah, if I put myself in the shoes, I could see being like, yeah, you're curious as fuck since being 11, and you've got to inching towards
Yeah.
answers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're 11, like a door opens on its own. You get
Yeah.
like kind of scalded, a little bit or whatever. I just think, I guess depending on how like much a child has, like, cause like keep in mind, we've talked about this like in the past shows and stuff, kids like sitting there with, you've seen it a million times in different documentaries or about like hauntings and stuff. You have like children who have like, made friends with, specter entities, and like they're playing, and to them the kids are as real as can be. But meanwhile the parents are like being kept up at night and like horrible shit's happening.
Yeah, it's a way in for them.
Like the kid is like seeing it as clear as day,
Doesn't know
like,
better.
yeah. I mean,
And
think of
the thing knows that too. So then it's just using that as a excuse to
yeah.
be let in and
Yeah, well,
grow
think about
power.
it. I come and I present myself as a child to like this child, and then the child starts like talking, to the parents. Well, then the parents get creeped out, and therein sets the bleeding fear, like the
The whole
kid.
time it's just feeding off of everybody
Yeah, the kid is just having a great time. This is their buddy,
until
Yeah. It's presenting itself as a child to the child, but like to the parents, this thing is like, like coming at them, in like different forms. And, it's just funny. He was 11 years old. And rather than being like, oh shit, that scares the hell out of me. Like, I mean, the fear of the unknown is like terrifying to like most people. You know what I mean? Like a child who does not understand consequence yet or whatever, not so much. But even as an 11-year-old, you see a door open with no wind or whatever, and it just slowly opens and stays open. Oh my God. Can you imagine if it's one of those screen doors with the spring that are like designed to snap
Force
back
on that
shut?
thing, yeah.
But you just watch it open and it stays? Like this had a huge significance on him and his life. So I'm wondering if it was like a door that opened and was supposed to shut, because he said especially to keep it open. That moment stuck with him for a long time, and he's seeking answers from it. But I just think it's even with his dad being so direct and like even trying to like jug hand him and be like, be scared, be scared. He's like gone the complete opposite direction.
It'd be hard not to, really.
Yeah, he's experiencing another screen door moment.
You want to know what is that? What was that?
Okay, back to the story. Eventually, the drums and other sounds stopped. I closed the window and I crawled into bed, utterly exhausted. He's exhausted from it. Do you think the exhaustion is from what he just went through, like with the emotional roller coaster? Or do you think it's like because it's late now and
Probably both.
yeah? He also, I feel,
How much adrenaline was pumping and how thoughts like racing through your head and stuff about what is what and
yeah. But sleep eluded me for hours. The next morning finally arrived. I asked my friend about the drums. He slept in the bedroom that was on the other side of the apartment and said, yeah, I heard them, but I was so creeped out and I just did my best to fall asleep. He bugged me about it through the day, but I didn't want him to think that I was crazy. That night, we went to a small bar near our place and ordered some drinks. I had a pardon me, I'm gonna try. I had a cachaca and decided to give in. We started talking about what happened to me. We had both been in Brazil long enough that we were comfortable speaking Portuguese, so an old lady that was sitting at the table by us slowly stood up and walked over to us. Without asking our permission, she sat down at the table and she spoke. She said, you shouldn't talk so openly about this. She said after she pulled a little cigar out of her mouth. That was a quimbanda. It's dangerous. I was intrigued, as was my friend, so we started asking her questions and paying for a few drinks for her so she had no reason not to talk to us. As I'm sure she has long since passed, I'll share her name. Regina was surprisingly willing to talk to us openly about all of this after she had just said we shouldn't talk about it so openly. Her husband had been what she had called a macumberio, a sort of priest in the group. Regina told us of the dark spirits she had seen frequently in her home, the ritual sacrifices at altars, and the power and respect that followed those who walked this path.
greased her up. Got her a little tipsy and spilled the beans.
She is, it doesn't sound like beans, she's spilling blood.
Blood beans.
Yeah, bloody beans. Regina. She talked about the sacrifice in magic and the ritual use of possession to worship and perform special deeds. I told her about the drums I had heard the previous night and how I had opened the window and listened to the chanting. Regina grabbed my hand faster than I thought a fragile thing like her could and gripped it tightly. She said, don't be interested. These dark beings, demons and spirits, they listen. If you show interest in them, they will show interest in you. If you reach out your hand into the darkness, don't be surprised when something grabs it.
How many warnings do you need?
Right? I mean, he's obviously got a life's like purpose. He has a path, and he's following it. Whatever it is clandestine.
Yeah.
It's been, put into his pathway. This is all clandestiny. Here we are. We're playing our role in it. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. And we still got some pages, man. I don't know if I was smiling out of curiosity or from the drink, but she looked offended and hurt that I couldn't take her warning seriously. She released my hand and stood up from the chair. Regina started to leave but turned back to speak one last time. "We have a saying here," she said in broken English. "Fala do Diabo, e ella mostra si rabo." Like waiting for something to slam.
I would say, yeah, he's smiling. It sounds like because he's getting these. He's still curious as fuck,
Yeah.
and he's getting these answers. So
It's only piquing
yeah,
curiosity.
why he's smiling, and
Yeah.
she doesn't like it.
Uh-huh.
Like, don't be curious, and yeah.
Yeah. She repeated this 2 more times and then left. The saying is simple: speak of the devil and the devil will show his tail. Those were wise words, but like many young men, we paid little attention to the voice of experience and soon left the bar with darkness rolling off of our tongues. He's just on a quick trajectory, ain't he?
I mean, he's getting these answers.
He's going, well, not just that. I mean, why does it seem like everything is being put in front of him?
Exactly. Like, yeah,
You know.
you're at this place. These drums just happen to be right across the street from you. You go to this bar, and there's just this old woman that happens to hear you, and everything's pulling you, dropping tidbits, getting your.
Yeah. I mean, her quote, "Fala do Diabo, e ele mostra su rabo," or rabo. Like that is exactly what is happening. Speak of the devil and he will show his tail.
Yeah.
He keeps speaking.
Well, she also said if shows interest in these things, and then they'll show interest in you, and that's what he's doing. But
We're watching it.
Yeah.
Everything keeps coming out of left field to prove this theory, to prove this point, and he's eating it up. But you do notice though, all throughout the story, he's like, that should have been whenever I did, and like that was something that I wish I would have known. Like the story clearly ends with like, like
well, he's gonna get answers. We're gonna get answers.
you learned your lesson here. Back to the story. The drums didn't play that night, so we sat around the kitchen table and drank chimarro, a Brazilian tea, and talked brazenly about everything we had experienced and heard. The feeling in the kitchen quickly filled with angst and heaviness. We allowed ourselves to look beyond our walls of comfort and understanding. I felt like a young boy that had found his first nude picture. Hell yeah. For me, I was the one that got the mail, and Dad's black wrapped Playboys started disappearing. They
Sears catalogs.
Yeah, they ended up in the back of the old dilapidated van. That was like my literal spank bank. It was like a spank Fort Knox. Yeah, I remember like Dad being like, "Where the hell are my Playboys?" And I'm like, "What's a Playboy?" Yeah, and I'm like at school, like telling all the jokes that I found in the joke section, like I'm a G. Where'd you hear these? I made them up. No, I didn't. It was for Playboy. I found like a young boy that had found his first nude picture and was giggly in the excitement of all the possibilities that played out in the fringes of his recently opened mind. My friend and I talked. We speculated, continued refilling the tea with our boiling pot of water. We probed the darkness of our understanding, and then we wished aloud that we could actually see something. Yeah, that's where I draw the line. Nope. Even putting yourself into a situation, like, we're trying to go to the TNT district of, like Point Pleasant,
Just doing
West
the
Virginia.
things.
We're putting ourselves there, but like, this the speculation within my heart, that it's real and everything is going to play a massive role in it.
Well, we'll stay strapped in more ways than one.
Right.
We'll have a little vial of holy water. We'll have
Well,
mud stick or something. We'll have cheese. We'll have a
every
A
bullet
9 will
dipped
have
in holy water and silver. You know,
cheese dipped in holy water.
holy cheese. Bring some Swiss.
Holy cheese.
Gotta bring some Swiss, baby. We wished aloud that we could actually see something. Not just tales, not just folklore, but something real. That wish would forever change the both of us, our friendship, and it impacted me in ways that I definitely wasn't ready for. In one moment, we were filled with the euphoria of discovery of the unseen, the giddiness of forbidden exploration, and then the next, my heartbeat was abruptly increased dramatically. My face felt hot. I felt myself on the precipice again, only this time it felt much more dangerous, almost lethal. I heard a voice so clearly that I wanted to turn around to see who spoke, but I knew that we were alone. Stop talking about it. The voice was soft but urgent. It wasn't loud, it wasn't quiet, but it was unmistakably real. It was unmistakably there. My friend must have seen the changed look on my face. He stopped immediately and asked me what was wrong. I couldn't tell him what I was feeling. I was a small guy, never popular, and didn't want to appear weak, but I knew I was on the verge of something, so I chose to go forward. Nothing is wrong. We kept talking about the darkness, Quimbanda, spirits, and demons. My unease grew, and I heard the voice one last time. Stop! This is your last chance!
Wonder what that is.
It's got to be some sort of angel,
That's what I was thinking. Like,
It's
you
gotta
got
be-
something trying to warn you.
angelic, something. Something is pleading with him. What is it?
This
Dude,
reminds me.
bro. This guy.
I had a moment, and I don't talk about it anymore. I don't even know if I want to talk about it right now. It was so fucking strange. Like, there's a group of us down in my room, like 4 of us or so, and we were just talking about people that we knew. We had a few friends in high school that had self-deleted, and we were just talking about it and talking about them. And I had no weird feelings or anything, but in that moment, my mom comes in and says that my cousin had
Self-deleted?
jumped off a bridge, and
Oh,
we all
man.
just like, because we were in mid conversation about this, we just froze and just had to like run outside and just be like, "What the fuck?" So I don't even like to.
Yeah.
It was a weird. I don't even like to talk about it really.
Yeah. Well, speak of the devil, and he shows his tail.
Something.
Yeah. Smudging big time after this one, boy. Chat. You still with us, chat? Hang in there with us, chat. Don't let go of us. Whew. Stop. This is your last chance. I don't know if my friend heard the voice, but he must have felt something because he suddenly looked nervous and almost scared. There was not a single positive feeling or a bit of energy in that kitchen. The whole room felt like a vice squeezing down on me. Despite the warnings, I continued to talk about it. God, man. What if this is like, I feel like I'm sitting here with like that drip of just one single, the story is just, as it goes on, and he's just pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd wonder
what is this building to?
I wonder if the friend did hear this, because I mean, it kind of doesn't sound like it, but I don't know.
I mean, we got a few pages left of it. I feel like it's just swirling and building and just gaining a presence, and it's
Getting these warnings now, though. That and possibly you're the only one hearing and still pushing them.
Chat. What do you think is going to happen? Let us know. Let us know down there. What do you think is the outcome? If something's stepping forward, what do you think it is? I mean, think about the saying that the lady said. Speak of the who. Wondering if the man himself is coming. I don't know, but this is building up pretty hard, chat. Let us know what you think. And guys, if you're liking this podcast, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. We love you. Okay, here we go. I continued to talk about it. I walked over to the stove to pick up the pot of boiling water that we used for tea. My friend was sitting at the table, looking at me with an odd expression on his face. Remember the 6'7" guy who he's sitting there?
Maybe he was hearing something different.
No, I think that he's sitting there with a blank look on his face. I'm thinking that the vessel is being prepared. Yikes. Why? This dude is a glutton for punishment. I'm glad that we learned early that he several times is like, shouldn't have done that. Learned my lesson. I never would do this again.
I'd like to get, after this one, I'd like to get the other guy's story.
Oh, man. Yeah, that'd be great, too.
I wonder if they conversed about that. Does he have some sort of backstory, too?
Who knows? We don't even know, the way these stories go.
Yeah.
We do not know, but we're getting into the dirt under the fingernails,
we got
man.
2 pages?
We got a few.
God.
Hang in there with me. Chat, prayers in the comments, prayers in the live, and we're reading through this bad boy. Here we go. My feelings of anxiety became replaced with excitement, almost a perverse joy. As I put my hand on the handle of the pot of boiling water, I picked it up and turned to my friend. I don't remember having any emotions at that point. I was going to walk over to the table and fill the tea gourd with hot water, and that's when it all went black. Have you ever passed out or gone under for surgery? There seems to be no break in time. You are awake somewhere, and then instantly you are awake somewhere else again. No sense of the passing of time. That didn't happen to me. I was aware of time passing, not how much, but there is a blank chunk of memory that has been lost forever to me. My friend wasn't so lucky. And he's holding a pot of boiling water while this happens.
Geez.
Like, it just makes me feel like there's going to be like a consequence to that, but like everything's gone black, and he's now his friend who was in a blank stare. He's saying like had it worse than him. I got to give it to you. Your suspense is locked in, because like this is just an anxious, just thrill ride right now. It's just building and building, man. Cody, where do you think this is going?
I hope it doesn't end with boiling water on somebody.
I mean, he's lost time. Well, I know he says he didn't lose time. He was aware of the passing, just not how much had passed. I wonder if that means that, like he's aware, but maybe not aware of his actions. We're about to see. He did say his friend wasn't so lucky. The first thing I remember after that empty chunk of memory was seeing my friend cowering against the kitchen cabinets on the opposite side of the kitchen where I had been. This mountain of a man was pressed against the cabinets, cringing and as pale as if he had died. I noticed my vocal cords were sore. There was a strange noise that stopped coming out of my mouth, and then I realized, in horror, that I had been laughing. I felt my mouth relax from what had been a grin. As I regained more and more control over myself, I was finally able to speak, and my voice felt dry. It felt weak. I asked him, "What's wrong? What happened?" Man, I thought that the big guy was going to get taken over.
Something happened. The big guy is terrified.
Yeah, but he's scared. Scared.
Oof.
I'm a large man, and I can say, if I saw some little guy, even swinging around, I'd be scared of the boiling water, because that's going to have like a big consequence, like to my skin. But it's only the irrational, person wielding the thing around. Put that thing down, and I'm looking at this guy, even if he's like ranting and raving and going crazy and swinging and looking menacing. It's not until he picks up like a weapon that I'm like, oh, I'm a big dude. I could put my hand.
Weird.
That's what I'm saying. I could put my hand on the forehead of this guy while he's swinging around, and like he could miss me, and I'd just be like, haha. But if he's grinning in some strange way, and
you can tell he's not him anymore, basically.
My side, like I'm gonna look at this dude, and it's more so like, you gonna hop in me next?
All of a sudden, you're faced with something that.
Yeah, that your strength means nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend's face didn't change expression at all. He had been intensely focused on my face, but his gaze adjusted and moved over to my right, just over my shoulder. As his eyes moved, I clearly felt something lifting from me, like a thin sheet made of dark clouds. It was lifted from me, and I felt weak, and I felt spent. Man, it's like my story of the dude at the Ridges. We were so creeped out by Scott. Now, keep in mind some context beyond, what I was able to share on TikTok. That guy and his high school sweetheart, Angela, were friends of one of our friends. They were invited, so we didn't know this guy really. I'm going to call anybody like, a friend, like before I call them an enemy. But friendship was only a few hours old by the time this dude was, taken for a ride. I didn't really know him like very well or anything of the nature. I didn't know his behavior. But it was obvious that what was happening to him was like outside of any like human nature, even in the headspace that he had taken, because he was taking the big LSD, you know what I mean? And took a lot of it, even like in all my experience, like doing those things through college and stuff, I'd seen people have some really strange reactions and stuff, but it was like a different type of uncontrollable, it was much different. This, for as much as he had taken and everything, was like very cold and calculated and deliberate. And it was like, nobody gets as dark as that dude.
Just tell it was not the same as
it was not
a
human.
Thing. Yeah,
it wasn't human. You know what I mean? At this point, I realized my friend was looking to my right. I turned, afraid of what I would find, and saw what it was he was staring at. It looked like a shadow, but it wasn't on the wall. It wasn't something dark standing in the middle of the floor. It had depth, and for a lack of better word, it looked like it was made of some kind of ethereal matter. It stood in the middle of the kitchen. It was darker than a shadow, darker than anything under your bed in the middle of the night, and it was humanoid in shape. This thing remained there for a few seconds, as if to burn its existence into our minds, and then it began to move backwards. It went quietly, calmly, almost tauntingly, and then stopped when it appeared to be right up against the kitchen wall. I looked in awe as it simply slipped through the wall, and it was gone. I glanced down at the floor, becoming more adjusted to the change in the surroundings, and I realized I had moved quite a bit from where I was last standing. The pot I had picked up was laying upside down on the floor, and the spilled water had already become cool. Well, there you go. I mean, that says that you had to have been in that for a while.
Out of it for a few minutes.
Boiling water got cool to the touch.
Nobody got burnt by the...
Well, we're still...
I hope...
This one dude seems traumatized.
Well, you're going to be.
I mean, he seems like he's been...
seen some shit.
Yeah.
He's seen you as some shit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he has. All right. How you guys doing in the chat? Is everyone doing all right? Everyone doing good? We're great. I realized I was holding something else, and I looked down at my hands. I was holding one of the apartment's kitchen knives.
Oh, fuck.
Man, it just keeps getting...
Oh, my God.
Ugh, this poor dude, your poor giant friend.
Yeah.
Buy that dude a beer.
But I don't know if that dude... I'd be interested to see what happens after this. Like, I don't know if that dude's gonna come around anymore.
Yeah. Oh man, there's only like a little bit of this left until it turns to like a whole different font style. Like
What the fuck does that mean?
It's all bold.
Oh no.
I dropped the knife and I turned around to face my friend. His face was a mixture of shock, terror, and blame. I told him the last thing I remembered was standing at the stove and grabbing the hot pot. He quickly left the kitchen and went into his bedroom. It took me 10 minutes to convince him to come out and talk to me. I begged for an explanation because I had no idea what had happened. He finally came out, looking both angry and scared, and he told me what happened. I wrote this down shortly after it happened so I wouldn't miss anything. This is what he told me. So that's what's bold.
Oh, that's the bold part. Oh my god. Poor guy. Well, at least he seems not hurt, so he didn't get scolded and he didn't get stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, he's not physically. It
sounded like it was going in that direction.
Yeah, not physically hurt, but I'd say he's emotionally
I bet
destroyed.
Everybody. I bet both of them are.
You ready, chat? Okay, chat. What do you think? What do you think it is?
I mean, it's.
What do you think he did? Let's hear it down in the live chat, guys. If you are watching and you don't know there's a live chat going on during every premiere, there sure is.
To blue, 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 blue,
Yeah.
blue, blue, blue,
Yeah.
blue, 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 blue. Oh, what the fuck?
Make sure to grab snacks. Yeah, now's a good time to go take a leak because you might pee your pants. Sorry, I just had to. You guys know every episode.
You did it this time.
Here we go. Here's the testimony. You were standing at the stove and you started to pick up the pot. I told you that maybe we better stop talking about all of this. That was when you stopped. You were holding the pot, and then you changed. Everything around you went dark. It was like your aura just turned black. Even your eyes changed. You looked at me and you said, no. You dropped the pot. Boiling water went all over the kitchen and all over your legs, but you didn't even flinch.
Oh.
It's like when I kicked the fire on Scott.
Oh, and he didn't even react?
Dude, he laughed.
Ugh.
He laughed in my fucking face. And like such a laugh, dude. I'll never forget that. Let me know in the comment section, if you guys missed like the TikTok where I told this story, I will do an episode of Near Death Diary where I recount that story of an experience I had where a friend got possessed. Clearly. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And and if you watch this as like a skeptic, I have a lot of people, you'd be amazed at how upset. Like I read my filtered comments on TikTok and just shut the fuck up. And just like
I've seen some of them, yeah.
I've
like,
never
it's not,
seen
none of that's real, blah blah blah. And you have no idea how many of these stories I read that come in and they start the same way, and it's I never believed until it happened to me. Like, well, that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing with kind of like this story where
see
it, and it's like it's going to take
poking that
the
bear,
experience.
Man. Yeah.
For you to believe it.
Yeah, I have seen it firsthand, and man, I'm glad I did because it allows me to equip a certain type of spiritual armor.
Yeah.
It makes me equipped to do things like this. And to speak. There are some people who can do it just out of like sheer disbelief. But it does. There is no empathy for like if it's real. You have to have like a certain aspect to you as like a person to read these type of things. You can't read them like as a skeptic, like constantly trying to like refute the things that are happening. You can have like your own feelings of the testimony that you're seeing, or what have you. But if you're just like, nah, it's all bullshit. Well, you're not a storyteller. You're not somebody that tells these types of stories. I look for the mystery within them. A lot of our episodes are us diving into the what ifs, the who, what, where, when, why, the how, all of that good stuff. Chat, this is our last page. He stopped, he lowered his head, and he looked at me again as he continued. His voice grew angrier. You started to laugh. It wasn't your laugh, though. It was different. You kept laughing, and then you started to walk towards me. You picked up that knife, and you started walking towards me. Your eyes were dark. I didn't see any color in them. And there was hate. There was nothing but hate in them. Does that make sense to you? I told you to stop, but you didn't. Whatever the hell was inside of you, whatever it was scaring me. And you backed me up against the counter, and you started to laugh louder and louder. I was sure you were going to cut me. My friend went over and picked up the pot, angrily threw it at the sink. I told you to stop, but you didn't listen. We should have never been talking about that shit. He walked around to the other side of the table, shaking with emotion. He pointed a finger at me. You were possessed.
This guy is,
has every right to be
he's upset,
but
traumatized.
at the same time, Bubba,
He was right there with it, yeah.
You know,
Was there?
it was like, you know, there was a brick wall. There was two people, one driving, one riding passenger.
I wonder, so...
And the guy in the passenger was like, get it. And then as soon as he saw the brick wall, he didn't take into consideration how long it takes for a car to slow down.
I'm wondering, though, because he said he told him to stop, right? At some point. I wonder if he was already in this trance and stuff, and the voice that he heard back when it was saying, stop now, if you don't, or whatever, you know? If it was his friend, and he just didn't even, he was just like so already out of it.
Yeah. Or maybe the talking of it was... you know, the already like possession sinking in, and the voice that was saying stop was actually him, his internal voice being like kind of snuffed out.
Something, I don't know.
By what he was possessed with.
I thought he specifically said stop talking about it, or we shouldn't have been talking about that.
Says here, I told you that maybe we better stop talking about all of this.
Yeah, I didn't hear that part. Because to me, it sounded like they were both right there, willingly talking about it.
Maybe he was just talking about it the whole time, and maybe you're right. We didn't talk to each other the next day, and it took almost a week before we had a good conversation. But there would never be a normal again. We didn't talk about that ever again. He left Brazil 2 weeks later. I stayed for another year. Man, so many of these stories have the traumatic incident, have the traumatic, like, bam. And it's like someone packs up and is gone.
But he was right there wanting to.
But can we?
I'm not gonna blame him.
Can we say that? Like honestly, like it's just like what's his name on the Goatman Bridge?
Caleb, wasn't it?
But Caleb was the one, you know, who was seeing Nate on the bridge.
Yeah.
In this incident,
Zach.
I do believe Zach. You know. Maybe this was like a Goatman episode kind of incident, you know, where this guy who he's sitting there talking to about all this stuff actually isn't talking to him about it at all. He's pleading with him to stop. Like, hey, like.
So you think like maybe his curiosity overwhelmed even his perception of somebody else wanting him to stop, and thought like he was interested in it too?
I think Zach was like, he started talking about it at first, and then like his buddy like kind of like, he was like, hey, back up and like stop talking about that. But like Zach pushed forward with it to the point to where he allowed something to step in. You know, I don't think that his friend like was ever there encouraging or goading him on about it.
To me, through the whole thing, it sounded like both of them were right there kind of going along with it. And
yeah,
other than the drums part, he wanted to ignore that.
That's why I'm using the Nate.
It's hard to tell.
That's why
it would be really neat to get the other guys' point of view, like a whole story.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll get a secondary write-in. Yeah, but to this day, I don't talk about this experience often. In fact, I've only told this story in person to 4 people. I've had interesting experience and relationships with the darkness ever since. I rarely have bad dreams anymore, but when I do, they are darker than I can put into words. They are, for a lack of better explanation, eternally dark. Ugh. God damn, Zach. My boy. Let's surround Zach in light. Chat, community, comment section. Light hug, baby. Drop a spirit bomb on our boy here. Help him shake that. I don't think he's embracing it anymore. I think it's just a byproduct. I think it's a parasitic aspect of the curiosity that he used to have. blast that shit out of them with love and community, baby. So that is my story. That is my experience. I've learned so much since then and can share this advice. Let's at least hope he gets some good advice out of it. Oh, that's what we need. If we act against our beliefs, we become vulnerable. We open ourselves to that in which we fear. That is scholarly. Too bad it took you getting possessed to get there. God damn.
Read that again.
Yeah, let's hit that again. Let's everybody get a wreath for our front door
Yeah.
with this saying on it. All right? It says, I've learned so much since then and can share this advice. If we act against our beliefs, we become vulnerable. We open ourselves to that in which we fear. Instead of live, laugh, love, that's what we need to be tattooing on bodies.
Yeah.
We need that next to the shitters when we walk into places. Like that's what should be the decal and, on windows of cars. That is scholarly advice manifested through some rather nasty manifestations. But was I possessed? My body had been taken over without a memory of my actions, yet aware of the emptiness where memory should have been. Darkness entered me because I invited it in. I will forever be grateful that it spat me out. What a closer. Whew. You look at 10 pages and you go, what the fuck is going to happen?
Well, shit was already happening, and we still had 5-6 pages to go, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oof. Chat, what do you think about that? What do you think about that, guys?
I mean,
That was
just imagine if it hadn't spat him out. What would obviously we probably wouldn't have had the story, but this dude would have murdered this guy. Stabbed him, and oh my God, or at least stabbed him.
Something.
And then how often do you think something like this happens? And it's just written up as a.
Oh well, I mean, our laws don't govern such
saying.
things. They don't give any.
Yeah, they're
sort
just like,
of,
no, yeah, you killed this guy.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any court cases that have actually like been given any sort of like credence to paranormal, and won. That's something that we'll have to look up, and information that we will, if we find it, we'll put that on our Patreon after this episode airs, for everybody to look over, and then maybe we can discuss it on our Discord. Man, oh man, that was a doozy of an episode. Usually we banter more throughout,
We're nervous.
Yeah, there's usually like a little bit more of
There didn't seem like a good. I don't know.
There was no place to do so.
That's what I'm saying. There's no like like let's do little banter jokes, but it's like I don't really feel like this is the moment.
Yeah, it was a combination of hanging off of like every moment and the banter just feeling inappropriate.
Yeah,
like it didn't belong.
Yeah,
I felt like I was like
light versus
just
dark moment. Yeah.
as vulnerable, throughout that.
I did see Zach had commented on our recent video.
Really?
One we just did.
So Zach, you're probably in the comment section. You definitely have one of the ringers out of all the stories told here so far. And luckily no injury. Can you let us know in the comment, like, did the boiling water like hurt you, like when you came out of that?
He said he got it on his leg and everything. I wonder, is there...
Were you physically hurt after you came out? Did you notice any sort of injury that you may have sustained? Was there any physical consequence?
I wonder if because he was kind of a clergy thing, right?
Well, his father was. Well, yeah, and then he was a missionary.
Yeah. Okay. So I wonder if that helped him spit that out, whatever it was.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I think that once something gets in you, because
Strange
he wasn't combating it. He doesn't have any memory of it.
maybe, but maybe subconsciously it.
Yeah, but also he was a missionary that was kind of dabbling and a little bit obsessed with the macabre. That's a big fuck around, find out. Speak the devil's name, and he'll show his tail. I mean, if anything, where are you at now? Like, let's ask that. In your holy journey, did this increase faith? Did
Also,
this make you a better practitioner? Like how did this impact your stance on your religious faith, and are you still spreading the good word? And if you are you spreading it with like more inflection?
is your dad still around? And did you tell him about this experience?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And then if he's not, that voice you heard before everything went trying to
yeah,
warn you,
yeah, yeah. Let's ask that too.
anyone that you could
Was
attribute that voice to,
what do you think that voice was?
or who?
Yeah, the one voice that seemed to be like the last remaining, fortress of reason. Do you accredit that to you? Was it an exterior force? Was it your friend breaking through the possession and his voice? Because it was pretty authoritative.
I'm just imagining now if he does tell his dad, and his dad just like has a shoe and he's like, I fucking told you when you
Just-
were 11.
Just a belt.
Yeah.
I
tried to tell you, smack, smack, smack.
I'm going to go back to where I was whenever he was, whenever I was discussing earlier when he was an 11-year-old boy. What do we do, especially in these parental roles, or these roles of guardianship, when something like that door opens and there's nothing there, and the curiosity is overwhelming. Like, do we take that opportunity to make an 11-year-old a well-known, seasoned veteran in at least understanding such things? Do we leave the ambiguity dangling over their heads? So, because like this bred a fascination.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's going to be difficult, and I would say it's going to be like a case by case, person by person thing, because it's like each person is going to take this differently. Some people might just see the door open by themselves, not even need anybody to say anything, and just be terrified of that for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And another person is going to see that and be like, just super interested in it and
Yeah.
try to hunt this down.
Luckily, this generation is on their phone so much that door opening, they're not even going to be like, oh, there was no wind. Like, what was this, 1992 or something? It was a while back ago, but like nowadays it's like, I could see me sitting on the sofa drawing or something, and Rowan is sitting next to me, and he's just stuck on his game playing, and the door creaks open in the most creepy way humanly possible. And fucking it stays open. It's got a spring that's supposed to shut it. And I could see Rowan not even breaking eye contact with this phone, just like standing up, walking over, shutting it, and sitting back down on the couch, And that's when I would be sitting there drawing like, what do I do? Do I tell him? That was fucking terrifying. How the fuck are you just playing your game? Like, what the fuck?
I mean,
what?
My whole thing from when I was like 5 or 6 and just hearing a baby crying in that school and just, I mean, sound like it came from everywhere. And now, like, years later, I still would go up there and
you want to know what the baby is?
Yeah, I want to know. I'm curious. It's very.
Yeah. I mean, I do believe that there are some people, who are a mixture of, like many, many things. But it boils down to they are the people who were intended to and almost designed to, whether it be atmospherically or through the things that they have experienced, that are designed to be the people that explore the paranormal,
Yeah, his whole story, there was like things there, like for him to like take a
beckon.
step,
Yeah,
do the next step, to the next, to get to that destination.
he was being beckoned. He was being
Because like
called.
odds of this happening and then that happening are just like,
Well, remember Bob's story? It was almost like fate had put
yeah,
him at the graveyard where he was intended to be because he was the right type of person. He had the respect of the dead, and the dead that were calling out in that area that needed, a shaman or needed like a psychic to come in and step in and help. The same person that gave him the answer.
you know what's crazy is like we were talking about this with these stories, but then like if it goes the other way, and there's going to be stories like that, we'll never hear them. You know,
Oh, because like it went terminally bad.
it went really bad.
Mm. Well,
So
those are stories that you hear secondhand.
weird
I
to think
mean,
about because you're just gonna people found out in the wild just, oh, he died of exposure. It's like, did he really?
yeah, thankful for everyone that has made it out, or who has lived to tell the tale, you know. But wow, what a night of internet campfire stories. Thank you guys for joining us for that episode of the Near Death Diary podcast around the internet campfire. I'd like to remind you guys that if you would like to have a story read on the Near Death Diary podcast, you can email us at the Hellfire Holler podcast at gmail.com. And why don't you hit that subscribe button, that notification button? Let us know that you like what we're doing by hitting the like button, and we will see you 8 p.m. for new premieres of the Near Death Diary podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mondays and Fridays. I am your host, Deadeye Two Tongues. And we got the Fog Gilly himself, Mr. Cody. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next episode.